welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we have a beginner's guide to special effects bruising. I am so excited for this video. I absolutely adore special effects makeup. This is definitely a beginner's tutorial. Anyone can do this. It is so simple and easy, and I'm really excited. I love special effects. It makes me so happy that other people enjoy this type of art as well. So without further ado, you guys, if you could give this video a big thumbs up for me, make sure you hit that subscribe button and we can hop right into the tutorial.
Wow, I just got a big headache.
So I'm starting off with a full face of makeup on. The only difference is I don't have a eyelash on this eye. Realistically, what you should be doing is taking off all of your makeup here, but we're gonna be covering most of this up anyway. If this was a more dramatic look, then I would definitely take the whole thing off. But just because I'm assuming that maybe someone wants to wear this to like a Halloween party or something like that, so they would have a base makeup on before you add all of the color work. So I am starting off with my James Charles Morphe palette. I love this thing, especially honestly for special effects, I think this is an amazing palette. If you are looking to become a special effects makeup artist and you don't have beauty palettes like this, you can actually just use your face paints that you have available. Don't wet them as much, or if you wet them, barely wet them. You can just take a brush and go in dry. It's not going to be as pigmented as these for sure. You're going to need to build up a lot more of that product because they are meant to be used wet. But just if you don't have beauty palettes and you want to practice, you absolutely can. Or you can just go buy like a drugstore palette. If this is like, I don't know how much this is, but this is a very good starter beauty palette if you need one for special effects. Anyway, you guys, now let's hop in. So what I'm going to be doing first, and this is very important, is that I'm going to ask myself the question of, what time period do I want this bruise to be? Do I want this to be a new bruise? Did I just get sacked in the face 2 seconds ago? Do I want this to be a bruise that is a couple days old? Do I want this bruise to be something that's healing, that is almost a week old or around a week old? What is the timeline of the bruise that I want? This is a very important question to ask if you're working on a film set or you're trying to do something for play, for stage makeup, those types of things. If you're just doing this for a Halloween party, or you're just doing this because you want to practice getting into special effects makeup or anything of that sort, and you don't really care what time period you do, then you just have to remember the colors that go with each other, if that makes sense. So you're not going to put a really dark purple and then you're not going to put fresh blood on top of that, because fresh blood only occurs when the first initial injury is, you know? So a bruise that is deeper purple, almost starting to turn like brown and blue like that, it's going to be a couple days old, and at that point you're not going to have any fresh blood. You might have some scarring and you might have some scabs and things like that if there was any sort of tear to the skin, but you're not going to have constantly fresh blood coming out of there. So that's very important to keep in mind when you're doing any special effects makeup. You want to look at things that are real life things. So you don't want to look at makeup pictures of bruises. You want to look at bruises. If you're not, if you're doing some sort of character, anything, if you're making a lizard character, you don't want to look at pictures of makeup of lizard characters. You want to look at lizards and then translate that onto your face or wherever to make it as realistic as possible. That's what they do in a lot of fashion. Also, in a lot of fashion designers, they look at like real life things and real life inspiration and not other people's work, if that makes sense, although it can be helpful. So what I'm starting off with first is going to be, and this is going to be very light. So I'm taking this red right over here, and I'm going to take this brown. It's like a burgundy brown. And I'm going to take this brown here. And I'm going to mix these together. And I'm just going to mix these right on my hand. If you are a professional makeup artist or you're trying to get into professional makeup artistry, become a professional makeup artist. Oh God, I'm not well today. I would definitely suggest getting a palette. Because I'm just doing this on myself, I am not using one, but I do have one. I need to clean it. But you would blend on that little palette. It's like a little metal square rectangle, whatever shape you get. And so I'm taking this and I'm just stippling around the general area of where I want this bruise to be. So the reason we're going in with these colors very, 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 very lightly is because if you look at real bruises, they're almost translucent in some areas. And so what I'm doing, and this is more of like a black eye really, is that if you look at real black eyes, a lot of the times you will see the concentration of the pigment is where the natural eye socket, I think that's the right terminology. So the most concentrated area of dark pigment is going to be right over here. However, there is typically, depending on where you got hit, but typically the area right underneath, like the lower lash line, is a little bit lighter than there. So I'm just stippling and I'm trying to make this as translucent as I can and just actually build that product. So this is gonna be a bruise that is a couple days old, almost kind of like I'm doing my makeup. Did my rest of my makeup and then just forgot about this black eye. That's funny, huh? That is strange how we wear like bruises and scarring to Halloween makeup, and it's like, what did you just like forget to do the makeup on top of this bruise? Like, if you like, you wouldn't try to cover that up in real life, you know, which is funny. It's like ironic. And so while I'm stippling all around the general area, but I'm concentrating that right over here. Concentrating the most pigment right over here. But I am bringing it down. So you can see I do have some darker patches, pigment. So when you look at real bruising, you can see there are some areas where you have little patches of pigment, almost like pigment translucent, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, you guys can go look up pictures of bruises and you'll know exactly what I mean and what I'm saying right now. You will totally get it. And so I'm bringing that right over here. And so now, you guys, I'm going to deepen that up. So I'm going to be taking this brown. I don't like to work with black when I'm doing bruising. I don't think it looks natural. I think it looks too black. If you want something darker, I would suggest like a dark brown and mixing that with a blue or a purple, just because I think that looks more natural. It doesn't, a jet black like this is not going to look how it would in real life. And you can just use, I never ever do this, but for this I do because I feel like it helps blend a little bit more actually. So I'm using the same brush, which I never ever do. And again, I'm putting the pigment, the most concentrated amount of pigment right in this area over here. And I'm keeping, because this is going to be fairly small, I am keeping the surface area of this smaller, you know, because think about the size of someone's fist, okay? So realistically, if I were to have a bruise like this, say I get into like a bar fight or something like that, which, watch out. I'm totally kidding. I weigh like 118 pounds. Like I'm not taking anyone down in a bar fight. But if I was to get sacked in the face, right? Let's assume I get sacked in the face by a woman my own size, because I ain't gonna be picking fights with nobody that's like, like, you guys know. And so if I do have this, think about the size of that hand. So I can compare it to the size of my hand, you know? And if I'm getting sacked right in the face, I can picture where the most impact would be. So I can picture right where the knuckles are in the face, you know, like in my hand, where it would go. And I can use that as my darker areas. So that is what's going to make a huge difference, you guys, is picturing in real life, what would this look like? How would this heal? Where is the greatest impact going to be for the blunt force? You guys know what I mean. So I'm concentrating in those areas. So I would have also some darkness over here. I would definitely have the darkest areas right over here. My eye would also be rather swollen still, I think, with a bruise this size. But just normally I would add some sort of like, not prosthetic, but I would add something to this to make it look a little bit more swollen. But because this is just a beginner's tutorial and it's mostly for color work, we're not gonna do that. So far, our first step was to go in with these shades right over here. And now we did a mix of the blue, purple, and brown. If you wanted to, you could add, if you wanted to make this a little bit of an older bruise, you would add a little bit of yellow. So you would add a little bit of yellow. What I would do if I was making this an older bruise, which I'm not, but if I was, I would take this, yeah, I could even take this yellow and mix it probably with this brown right over here, just on my hand or on any, you guys, in a mixing palette. And then I would go around the edges. I wouldn't go close to the most pigmented areas. I would go around the edges because when you think about a bruise healing, what happens is that pigment starts to become even more yellow over here. And from the outside in, it begins to heal. So from the least amount of impact to the greatest amount of impact, it will heal like that, obviously. So if you want to make this a little bit of an older bruise, you can, but I'm not going to do that. And so now I'm going to mix these two browns right over here. And I'm going to bring this in to this area. And so this looks black, but it's not. It's not black. And where I would have this natural darkness right over here, very delicate area of skin over here. That's another reason. I think I can stipple this out even a little bit more because it does have a high area of pigment right over here. Yeah, I do like that better. Yes, yeah, I like that. And so now, oh, I was like, what the heck just happened? I put my brush down and it landed in my, okay, well, we're going to fix that. No problem. No problem. I'm just going to take another brush and I'm going to, again, stipple that right in there. And so as you guys can see, I do have this lighter area right over here, but that is how it would typically heal right over there. So this is more brown now, but we have that base of pink and that base of red brown that we can use. And now we can get that real nitty-gritty texture in there because we have that base and get that really nice translucent, almost like this is really trying to heal. So when you think about a bruise, it doesn't heal evenly. You have patches in there that are faster to heal than others. And you can just build this pigment up until you feel like this is enough for you. Again, normally I would take off completely my eyeshadow if this was like not a black eye, but it is a black eye, so there we go. Yeah, and I'm stippling some more of that redness because I feel like I just wanted a little bit more right over here. And I know it looks very faint, you guys, on these areas, but it makes a huge difference. This looks very realistic. In my mirror anyway, I hope that it looks as realistic in the mirror. When you are working for stage makeup, say you are looking to go into special effects because you want to get into stage, just remember, anything with stage has to be like 10 times bolder. So if you're working with stage makeup, you wouldn't be working on all of this detail, like the translucentness. You would really be working with harsher pigments, and you would be making it like way more dramatic than it would be in real life. Because think about all of those people in all of those rows back and back and back. Your makeup should be able to shine to the last person in the last row, and they should be able to tell that this character has a bruise on their face because they just got sacked or something like that. You know, like whatever your character is going through, then that's stage makeup. If you want to do film makeup, and that's why you want to get into special effects, then this is the technique that you're definitely going to have to use. You are going to have more detail because for, I mean, obvious reasons, it is closer up, it is more detailed, and it translates much, much crisper on film than it does on a stage. So that is really it, guys. This is like very, very beginner, basic stuff. If you are looking to go into special effects makeup, which is my most favorite thing, editorial, fashion, and special effects are like the bomb for me. I think it is like so like beautiful and creative. The first thing that you need to know is colors, like how color theory, color story, whatever, not story, but color theory, like you need to practice that for sure first thing, because if you are able to make your own coloring and make your own shading and do all that stuff, you can create anything with bare minimum. That's why a lot of like beginners face paint makeup that you see, like those packets, they have primary colors because it's assumed that if you're working, especially those like really oil-based, really like some of them are really expensive. Like my Mayrons, even my water-based Mayrons are no joke. They're like, Mayron's an expensive brand, you know? So if you are working with special effects for the first time and you don't want to start with prosthetics, or you don't want to start with like anything with bald caps, anything, start with color theory. Really, it will change the game. Like you can do so much just with like a eyeshadow palette or with your face paints that you have, anything like that. So that is the best advice that I could possibly give to anyone who's a beginner special effects makeup artist. Anyway, that is all that I have for you guys today on how to create a bruise. Again, if you wanted an older bruise, you can add some yellow. If you wanted a newer bruise, stay away from the darker colors and go with more reds and pinks and things like that. You can even add some like blue vein stripes if you wanted to, and then you could add some fake blood if you wanted to for a newer bruise. You just have to be careful that that fake blood is where the actual impact would have torn the skin, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. Special effects, like I said, is one of my, it is just good stuff. You know, I just love it. And it makes me excited that other people are excited about special effects also. So if you have any questions that I missed or any suggestions, anything, you have a request for a special effects video, let me know down below in the comment section. I will always get back to you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video and you feel like supporting me and my channel, please consider giving it a big thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. It really does make a huge difference, and so that we don't miss out together on any of my future uploads. Thanks again so much, you guys. I'll see you next time.